all things Metaverse, 3D, media, music, how they incorporate in media in the near future is going to incorporate in ways that are changing the landscape in terms of, ownership, changing the landscape in terms of vision for the future. Like, who wants to talk about the metaverse? I'm going to talk about the open metaverse today. And open metaverse, meaning it's a different philosophy. Who wants to talk about the metaverse right now? Well, Mark Zuckerberg does in a big way, because it just made him, just the other day, no other human in history has gained more wealth in 24 hours than Mark Zuckerberg, based upon the information of, is his project in the metaverse going to work? Because that's how powerful it is. I think more and more people are understanding how powerful that is, and the decisions that you make, and I mean this in a weird, sort of meta way, the decisions that we make together moving forward will define who owns and who has control and ownership of the metaverse. And it's a very, very crucial battleground that's being waged in a lot of different ways, but it's all very sort of shadow. It's like it's like a video game, secret ops video game where everyone's trying to outdo each other in terms of budget, in terms of fundraising, in terms of notoriety, and bringing in and onboarding and all these sort of things that everyone's working very hard at. But at the end of the day, it's the decisions that you and I make which will define ownership of the metaverse. Very, very crucial thing here in the near future. And we're going to be doing a week-long segment actually coming up on a proposition of the open metaverse, and working with some of the top 3D NFT projects in the space. I'm super, super excited to be working with the 3D Hub Lab that I co-founded to bring together these founders and these projects to look at collaboration in a way that is egalitarian, utilitarian, things that benefit the people that operate them and the holders, so that we're just not continuing the next wave of meta from Web 2 to Web 3, which is they make all the money off of your data, the things that you're enjoying, the pictures of your kids, those are ours, and we should be enjoying the fruits of that specific labor in media. And so welcome to the show. If you haven't been here before, this is something that we obsess about here at Web3 Media Friends. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and let's walk through some of the metaverse propositions right now. Some of the metaverse propositions right now, some blah 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 blah, are going to have speech impediments throughout this, because we're going to go over a lot of terms, and I'm going to walk through and carefully define those terms, especially as they get more important towards your decision making. And so, but generally we have, you've seen like some of the game-based ones, I think, that are coming out are just absolutely, mental. Let's look at Star Atlas, for instance. If we don't get rugged, sometimes that happens in the show. We're doing so much streaming, we're getting horribly rugged, I think, here.
The station reported a distress signal last night. They think it came from your dad's ship.
The signal, it came from past the outer ring. How is that even possible?
His ship has been reported missing for 20 years now. Pretty sure he's not coming back.
I hate it when Dad doesn't come back.
We go there, we might not come back.
Ooh, that was very other side looking, wasn't it?
This is going to change everything. They found out we have the map. They're going to kill us for it.
If that's the case.
Ooh, did you see that avatar there? That's interesting. I mean, so we're talking like massive amounts of money being put into projects that have an incredible amount of visual appeal. I was kind of looking at this guy earlier. He was like, interesting looking cyborg, because anytime you're doing a display, you can instantly sort of throw that PFP onto a cyborg, and that kind of is what I think is going to be the default right now for the other side, which is another one that's coming up. And let's take a look. And it's not going to show a lot about the here, but come on, let's enjoy the Basie trailer. It's very hard to get the rights to this song. This is very hard to do.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here. Dug our treasures there. But can we still recall time we cried? Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side.
Here's the big reveal. Who else is joining us? Hey, look at all these partner projects. Just wanted to show that because of the partner projects involved. We'll touch base a little bit about that in a second. But you have different propositions of the metaverse, and certainly Star Atlas and Otherside being two of the most well-funded. I think before Otherside, Star Atlas was known as the most well-funded in this space, and then you have ones that are very specific to artists themselves, and so Monaverse curates well artists who create experiences in the metaverse that you can purchase for your own community's experience. Sorry, we just got we're getting rugged. This is what happens. It's like I go live and then all the rugging happens. But it's just like you have all these great things like like Spatial with Ready Player Me and Monaverse, and they also have an avatar generating component to it. And so when you have these ideas of building it, it's still very insular, right? So it's just like my Ready Player Me can only kind of play within Spatial, and my avatars within Monaverse, and even other side. Webverse is sort of the contrary to that, but Somnium still seems a bit insular and VR centric. Decentraland, it's just like only those avatars can apply there. You can build them all like Sandbox. You can build whatever you want, but I don't really think I feel like I want to play with my Sandbox guy outside of the Sandbox, honestly, at this point, because of just how, I don't want to say stuck in the past, but it's in development, as of years ago, and suddenly we have Unreal Engine 5. So, projects on Unreal Engine 5 like Wilder World, like it's just like look amazing, Wilder World on ETH. And so it's, that's on ETH, and Star Atlas is on Solana. And so you can start to see the fragmentation based upon chain, based upon perspective of how to build the metaverse. And you find yourself with, your, what I show this is sort of, your PFP. And so it's just like, well, I want my PFP to work in all this stuff, right? It's like to get to a good 3D PFP, especially, like you saw some renders there of, other side ones, like the mutant in that video looks quite good. Mutants are really hard to do in 3D. They're terribly hard. I've been working for quite a while, and they're very, very difficult. Any of them are very, very difficult to nail down right. I mean, to do, Clone X and a Murakami with Murakami's edge is very, very tough to do. And so, voids and just having one that works is very, very tough. We found out with Jenkins the Valet that, when they don't work, they really don't work, and your entire community doesn't want to be personified in the metaverse as that thing. And so, things like Meebits, have that throwback sort of feel and seem, kind of cool in that way, but it's not necessarily how you feel like you want to be represented, in something as cutting edge, in the metaverse as, the other side or any number of these that are developing. And so, the idea of having, there's some great collections out. I just want to mention Meta Travelers, I'm a DJ Voids, Volts, Metashima, obviously Clonex, which are a couple here, Das Dead Army Skeleton Club. I mean, these are all, great projects that are on the avatar side. They don't always quite work with the metaverse side yet. And this is the topic of our conversation. And I'm going to bring in my correspondent from the metaverse. He is a Jadu Ava, a Michael Bay designed project that released earlier this year that is more focused on the augmented reality, the mirrorverse, as we cover here on the show. And so, welcome to the show. Hey, I'm back in this thing. I just want to say, you have really given me some freedom here. It's important to say, yes, I am a Jadu Ava, and they put me into these fighter games where I fight against other people. But it is because of you, meatbag, that I'm free. I wish you wouldn't call me that, but you're welcome. Well, here's the thing: you converted me into a thing, and so I'm a well-built model. Look at these. Look at my hips. Look at these digits. Come on. Look at these digits. This is not easy to do. I am not easy to do. Look at these ears. It's not easy to make it. Look at these good. And that's the challenge, I think, is trying to, come up with good models and then transition them, across different platforms. And so, that's not possible without a VRM, which we're gonna go over, because it's very, very difficult to get, just sort of even picking the PFP, right? The one that's going to be very representative of you. I mean, I've just gotten lost in so many collections going over the collections and this one looks too sad. I didn't want to get an ape very early on because I didn't want the crybaby ones, the ones that were I'm not a sad person. I don't want to have the sad one. Many ETH later, I cry now by not buying one way back then. But that's the thing, is you want something that represents you in the space, and I think that's going to become even more so beyond rarity, beyond these things. Rarity will play into it, having and flossing a Murakami, badass, amazing. But will that Murakami limit you from your rights to exploit that and create a character? With all the freedoms that are coming for creators, entrepreneurs, and artists, and so. At the moment, it's VRM, and so let's quickly jump into what is a VRM? It's an independent platform file format designed for use with 3D characters and avatars in the modern 3D, VR landscape. VR, but it's just it's also, that's the thing, is this format, circa 2017, 2019, is meant to service the multiple VR formats, but the translation of which currently, as these formats evolve, lend itself to the metaverse and to open interoperability. Much like my characters, they have to be translated into VRM in order to escape from the fighting games and stuff. And thank you again. I'm sick and tired. I was getting hit in the face. I don't like it. I don't like the violence. And you know me, I'm a party guy. I like the NFT Miami. Let's go to that again. Well, we'll go to a couple of events. Hopefully, Denver is on our docket, as well as NFT LA. So, which is now Outer Edge with a rebrand. But VRM is a necessary file format that will allow you to play in these other elements. And so I think more and more 3D projects are beginning to realize, this need for interoperability, because projects as good as My Pet Hooligan, which is a phenomenal well thought of gaming house that created an environment, sold an NFT for the character. Fun character. They're creating really great environments to play a game. You can even create as I saw recently with the camera, you can kind of create little scenes in there. And I think J-Punks, creating scenes within sort of their own control and their own platform and their own dashboard. Really, really powerful stuff for creators. Oh my gosh, I can jump in there and I can sort of animate. But then like there becomes a limitation, of how fast they can get up to speed, how many bells and whistles they can give, environments that they can give, environments, especially like designing environments. You can buy a lot ostensibly, on like Unreal Engine marketplace, but to create those and to make them part of your rich sort of cultural NFT history takes time. It takes a lot of design power. It takes a lot of know-how, and so that becomes a limitation because not all of the NFT projects are banging right now, are they? In the bear market, could really see the compounding of how small those worlds became. Those worlds became radio shows. They became, as opposed to like the big giant metaverse that we're going to play in. It became very, very, very challenging for projects to keep up, and I mean, just we saw Oni Force was a huge. It was a thing. It was like okay, we're here, amazing, massive project, super well funded. Here's the metaverse. Here's our characters in the metaverse, and they were like showing these previews. You're like, oh my gosh, they're so ahead of the game. But then the money runs out, and then and it's just like, oh gosh, this is very, and this is why I think Otherside has this really great advantage. They raise so much money that they're able to take, and I met with some of the artists actually last week. They're amazing artists who are working on this and creating these 3D environments for us that are absolutely just some of the top in the industry. Like they're going from like big feature films into the other side, and vice versa, and so. It's a really, really talented group that's bringing you guys all of this value. But the thing is who's paying for it, right? It's just like they have an idea in their head of like how it should go. While their world, is like that's their name in it. So it's like you're going to be at their house. It feels like it's their world, literally, that you have to pay for. And so, they're going to want to use it as an avenue to extract value from you. There is no clearer example than Mark Zuckerberg, is there? I don't want to say like F somebody, but like it's a thing where us that are free here in the VRM world, we whisper to each other and say, hey, F that guy, like no, seriously, F that guy, because he wants to extract value. Like it's just like it's so clear that that's the whole point of multi-billions going into the funding of the metaverse, the experience of the metaverse. Whereas you have Webaverse, who's the exact opposite of that. To some degree, I'm sure there is some, areas in which, they need to make money and what have you. But, it's more about metaverse makers. And so, those that can come and build their own, creativity, and that's kind of the quasi thing that Meta's doing as well. They're like, oh yeah, come and build, create, much like you did your Facebook page, and then you made us all the money. So that's what they want, right? But I think in the open metaverse, it's much more of hopefully a marketplace that we can create, we can benefit from, experiences that we create, we can benefit from, much like Metaverse has given to other artists. We can do for ourselves as creators, and be expressive in ways in the metaverse that we're examining. I think a lot of people are at this point in Decentraland. If you've been to Decentraland or been on some of the tours on the show here that we've done, like, subscribe. We go through these metaverses and we look at sort of what's there and what's possible. We went to the Bored Apes yacht club, the actual yacht club. In Decentraland, and looked at, this is what they're doing. A lot of gambling, generate revenue. And then on the other side was just the neighbors were just a lot of pictures, hey, these are, really rare NFTs that you can look at. And so, the experiences are early on were just about very, sort of base fundamentals, picture good. But then it became about here's the experience of, walking into this space and you can, experiment and explore in this space and find clues in this space and have little games in this space where you had to run and put clues together. And so as these spaces are developing, so is our creativity in this space as creators. And the idea that it would go on to serve a place like Zuck's house is challenging to, I think, why a lot of us are here in Web3. Which is to get away from that, which is to analyze, what kind of didn't work there and how it's affecting our society, and take those lessons learned. And definitely, it starts with, control and making those very small decisions. Those very small decisions will come down to something as simple as like how much pressure you're putting on your project's ability to create 3D avatars. Sometimes I mean, I do them myself as well. Like, I've created Onis, and I've created a little bit of alpha. You guys are going to see an ape soon, a mutant soon. I told you they're very hard to do, but I think I'm close enough to sharing. And so, but by creating them, I have to go through the process of then, outputting them to a certain file. And so how these files are handled will define the future of the metaverse. And I'll say it for the people in the back. Literally, if we're all agreeing on this file system of VRM, which it seems like is the clear need right now to have and to access these worlds, our choices now to acquire them will say and echo in eternity in the metaverse, because the more that we make these decisions for independent custody, for things that you can put on your Cultivate helmet, and it's like this really dope helmet, but just like, yeah, I want that to add value to me, not somehow track my data or something like that. Like I put it on and it's like tracking my thoughts, or has like a camera that's like recording my every movement in there. I don't want that. I want independent custody. I want to be able to own my assets. And I need them to be safely deployed, because obviously we're seeing a lot of theft from some really good people in this space, and I hate seeing it. And we've offered our condolences to the people who really have lost massive, not just fortunes, but they've lost their personalities that they've developed within the metaverse and within their PFP. And so all that value goes out the window if they're not safely deployed. And so I'm really excited about this week, because I hope you'll join me next week. I'm going to be doing a lot more shows to cover a massive event that I'm super excited to share, that's going to incorporate some of the top projects in the space in terms of metaverse and 3D NFTs, and how and why this concept of having a singular file type plays into everybody's ability to play together nicely, but also gives us that key element of independent custody and safety in doing so. And so having a structure that's like, hey, here's my VRM file, go ahead and play with that. You're not touching my wallet. My wallet's like cold storage, and you want to keep your CloneX in there, you want to keep your voids in there, your Metashimas in there, but you still want them to play. You want your Metashima to go along with you as you're running around with your Meta Traveler. And so having these combinations, work together in whichever metaverse, allows for it, they're going to benefit, and they're going to see the benefits when they have traffic and people who are going there, and they're going to have to. The market will have to serve those of us who attend, those of us who are active in the space. So if you are, next week is going to be exciting for you if you are active in the 3D space. And 3D NFT space in particular, especially those in the Meta Travelers, Voids, Volts, Metashima, Clone Force, Dask. There's a lot of projects that have these abilities, and I think that if things work out well, we can begin to look at how to work all together in collaborations, because these projects seem to be ready. They have file structures that are ready there, and so very, very excited to join you guys on this. And so hit me in the comments section down below if you have any questions about this stuff. I can talk about this stuff ad nauseum, as well as my correspondence, and so maybe one of my correspondents will answer your question. All right, thanks guys.